we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford coming up right at you here with the Pop Culture Cosmos Game Source. Inside Sports Fantasy Football, we've got another great episode that's out there helping you with your last minute fantasy football drafts. Plus, we've got another great episode coming this week with the guys from the Lakers Fast Break, where we cover the latest news and trends in basketball and the Lakers. They're going to stop by Inside Sports Fantasy Football to give you their picks for week 1 of the NFL happening this week. Kickoff for the NFL is this week. So go ahead and check that out wherever you get your podcast. Plus, also as well, of course, I said Lakers Fast Break. Our good friends at Vampires and Vitae. Don't forget to check out, of course, some great people involved, including Melinda and Robbie Ross. They're going ahead and checking out, doing everything that they can at Vampires of Vitae and also Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Of course, everything going on at the Happy Hoarder. You got to go ahead and catch the Happy Hoarder live at one of the many places that he's at each and every weekend, or, of course, happyhoardercollectibles.com. The latest news and trends in pop culture on our popculturecosmos.wordpress.com site, and of course everything that's going on right here at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where we post the latest news and trends by item in pop culture right there for you at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He is absolutely pumpkinating right now as we speak. He's a good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out today with all the great collectibles that are out there at happyhoardercollectibles.com and the Happy Hoarder all over social media. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
For the Happy Hoarder push. Yeah, check out our website, www.happyhoardercollectibles.com. Lots of new Funko Pops up there this weekend. Some new Pokemon cards as well. So go ahead and check it out. But Gerald, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. It's a little rainy for us out here in Las Vegas, but we're doing the best we can. Absolutely need it here. So I know it's causing and creating havoc out in the streets because we don't know how to handle so much rain. But you know what? We need it. So we're going to get it. And I hope it's going to continue for a little while longer. But doing okay indeed. I know that I hope everybody is safe up there at the Burning Man area up north here in Nevada. I know that there's been a lot of issues and problems because of the severe flooding that's happened, and they had to go ahead and make sure and tell everybody to stay where they're at because just it's such an unsafe environment around that area. So I'm hoping everybody will get out safe. I know there's been already a death reported there, and hopefully everybody will just be able to get out okay. I heard that Diplo and Chris Rock had to get into one of their, I guess, fans' van just to escape the turmoil that's going on at the Burning Man area. So I hope everybody else is safe and getting home as best they can under the circumstances there. But yes, the Burning Man event didn't go exactly as planned, but I'm hoping that your Labor Day weekend, my friend, has gone as planned.
That's been all right. We set up at the local mall out here, so I've been hoping to cash in on the Labor Day mall goers, but it's been all right so far. There's been GalaxyCon up in Austin, and has been hosting 60 plus celebrities and voice actors. So a lot of people have been out there. So I think that might explain why things been slow down here in Waco. But hopefully tomorrow things will pick up.
I hope so too, my friend. You're doing great business. I know that for the most part. Otherwise, I know that a lot of people have been interested in what your wares are. I know you've had some good success so far, and I know you've got a lot of great things to talk about, especially when it comes to great collectibles that people need to check out at happyhoardercollectibles.com. Correct?
Yes, absolutely. Check out the website. We got some new things coming in this week. A lot of Funko Pops, a lot of exclusive AAA anime Funko Pops. So make sure you're checking out the old website.
I will remind you that you do need to go ahead and get your hands on some of those exclusive Funko Pops I sent word to you. You might need to go ahead and get because they could become a valuable commodity because of what's coming out this week. Hmm.
Yep, I'm working on it.
Okay, just want to make sure and let you know because it is only available in a certain way to go ahead and get that. So hopefully you will go ahead and be able to buy or get this chance to get a couple of those so you can go ahead and have it out there and available for your fan base at happyhoardercollectibles.com. But it is going to be a great episode. We're going to be talking about a great many things, including CM Punk getting fired. Actually, not storyline, actually, really legit out of EEW Wrestling and what impact that might have. Also, as well, the Venice Film Festival, which to me, in my mind, seems to now have supplanted the Cannes Film Festival because the Cannes Film Festival comes earlier in the year and actually shows a lot of big budget premieres. So the Venice Film Festival is geared more towards art house films, films that are going to be coming out later this year, November, December, some of those that are going to be vying for Oscars. So we're going to talk about Venice Film Festival's stance as far as previewing some really, really high-end Oscar films. That's coming up in a bit as well. But first, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and before we get into Starfield, which is the main topic of the day, I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about Equalizer 3 at the box office. It looks like it's going to do right around $50 million for the Labor Day weekend. Anybody who thinks Denzel Washington is past his prime as a box office draw in the right setting, in the right film, this man can still get it done.
Oh, absolutely. So I didn't even actually know they were on Equalizer. I didn't even know there was an Equalizer 2 that came out. I know there was that not so well thought of TV series with Queen Latifah in
I
it,
think
but
that's still going.
is it? Wow. Okay.
It
I
is
watched
well thought of,
Equalizer
my
1.
friend.
Is it? Okay. I mean, I don't know. But I did watch the first Equalizer when it came out on when for streaming. This was years ago, but like I really enjoyed it. If I had known there's a second one, I probably would have watched it. But lo and behold, we're on three, so I might have to do some backtracking here. But I can definitely see why people enjoy that movie. Like Denzel is. It doesn't matter like what he's in. Like he's amazing in just about everything he's ever done. So, granted, American Gangster was kind of boring. A little, I mean, to me, it was a little boring, but pretty much everything he's ever been in that I've watched has been great. And Equalizer 3 is kind of like one of those, not three, but the Equalizer series is kind of like the Liam Neeson esque action movies. And
Mhm.
sometimes people just need those in their lives.
Absolutely. I guess the story surround him wanting to find peace and tranquility in, I think, an Italian city. And of course, the mafia is still very much present in this story and in Italy in the movie. And it's a battle where he is unwittingly put into a conflict between him and the mafia that tries to terrorize the town and he does his usual equalizer things. So there you go, my friend. But yes, great success for Labor Day weekend for September when films are starting to wind down. The summer is pretty much done and over with. This is probably the last weekend you could say probably of the official summer box office season. It's been a very mixed box office season with the highs of Barbenheimer, Barbie and Oppenheimer, with the lows of several superhero movies and other movies that have just not materialized to the way that they should have. That's Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible. They didn't hit their marks as far as for the box office. Again, I mentioned the DC movies. It just seemed like there's a overall when we look back upon the year of 2023, not only from a critical standpoint, at least up until this point, also a money making standpoint, I understand again. We've said this on every week, and I've said this on every week. Yeah, I understand that they're year over year they're making a little bit more money, but there's so many losers, more losers than before, that it's hard for me to say that this is a total win for the box office this year.
Do you think that there's more losers, or people are just a lot harsher on films, or a lot not harsher, but a lot pickier about what they're going to see, based on just like the times we're living in. Not, I mean, just from an economic standpoint. I mean,
I think it's probably the latter. They're just a lot pickier. For instance, Indiana Jones. Obviously, nostalgia is can be a two-way street. People can either love it, like Barbie, or they can just go buy it. And just just even just not even give it its time, like Indiana Jones. I really thought Indiana Jones would do pretty well. It seemed like it had a decent marketing push. It seemed like it had a pretty good trailer, got okay reviews, but didn't get great reviews at all. But it ended up losing a massive amount of money for Disney. And I think it's just because when it comes down to it, when I looked a little bit behind the scenes and I pulled the veil a little bit on it, it seems like the nostalgia part in this thing was with Indiana Jones meant a lot to people like you and I, but to younger audiences, it meant nothing at all.
well, and that's where, we run into the same problem with like Star Wars, and how long until we run into that problem with Marvel too, right? Like Iron Man
I
came
think
out,
we've
what?
already there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're like, 2010, I think, was Iron Man, right? So I mean, we're
Yeah.
already like
2008.
2008. So we're, we're over 10 years. Like that's an entire generational jump right there. So, um, they either have to do something to make some of these big franchises seem new again. When we talked about this before, Star Wars, right? Starting from a new era, create a whole new storyline, new heroes or whatever, or they need to just come up with something new. Don't keep trying to tap the same, not tap, but like don't try to keep, milk the same cow. Don't milk the same cow if the udder's dry. Do something new, do something fresh, exciting, and maybe that will reinvigorate the box office. But you're right. I think people are getting tired of the nostalgia because uh people of my generation, your generation, are just not going to the movies as often as they used to.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy, the reason why that still did really good, about 850 million, just slightly under Volume 2, I think, or right around that, was because that people still remember the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mhm.
2014 was not so far off that they didn't remember it as far as the younger audience is concerned. They remember going to see it as a kid, and so they could still relate to it. Now, mind you, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 did not end up That's not. I'm gonna try and be generality on the spoilers. It did not end up being everything that they said it would as the final movie for some of these Guardians of the Galaxy, as far as the end that they would meet their
Right.
demise per se. So I thought
It
there
w-
was a little bit of it was false
yeah, I mean,
advertising,
yeah,
in
and
my
and
opinion.
believing that it was is foolish, because I don't imagine Disney ever allow. I mean, I was surprised that they let Iron Man die in Endgame, to be honest.
Yes, he really did.
Who
Yes, he really
knows?
did.
Who knows? The comic books, they always open up some kind of portal, or somebody like breaks the time continuum, and boom, our favorite heroes are back.
We are dealing with a multiverse now, so that's all I'll say. But the poor returns for superhero movies outside of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Ant Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, after a big first week, tanked hard, and also as well, you had Blue Beetle. Unfortunately, that's the latest to underwhelm audiences. Also, as well, you had, of course, the Flash did terrible. You had Shazam that did terrible as far as Shazam 2. As far as even on Disney Plus, the streaming end, Secret Invasion has become pretty much the butt of a joke as far as the individuals or the amount of people who actually watched that show and what came out of it and how many people panned it. And it just seems like right now the superhero era, we're at a point where maybe we're at the low end of what we're seeing with that once again, like we were before the wave of Marvel, when superhero movies were really at a low outside of the Batman movies, which I was actually catching today on Netflix. But remember in the 2000s, after Daredevil and Elektra, and just really
Mhm.
the bad response to those, and it just seems like we're back down. The plateau has ended. We're now at the lower end of superhero movies, and I think it's going to take a lot for people to go ahead and find their love for superhero movies once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly like I've sat down and thought about this before. Like I don't know how though. Like I don't know how they're going to reinvigorate that I don't know, love of superhero movies. I don't know if it will ever come back, and that's the tricky part, especially since Marvel's a multi-billion-dollar property for Disney. So either they're gonna keep putting things out, and people are gonna get even more and more and more tired of it, or they're gonna have to find some way to get people excited again. Which I again I don't know how that's gonna happen.
I know Martin Scorsese and some others may be happy that Oppenheimer's did success in a post superhero era as far as what they did, as far as $850 million now worldwide at the box office, which is sensational for an R-rated movie. When it comes to, though, what they were talking about those thrill rides, and the master directors were saying, and trying to go ahead and talk bad consistently about how Hollywood had gone all superhero and it was to the detriment of the movie industry. Well, this is our time to start making movies that are supposed to be resonating audience, until the fact comes to the fact that, okay, the superhero movies have been replaced by Barbie and Mario at the top of the box office. Is that really changed things as far as that's concerned? As far as, should they be happy about that, or should they be just like, one
Can
thing
you
after another?
imagine a day though, like when a Hot Wheels movie or like a Stretch Armstrong movie like outdoes an Avengers film? Like I mean that would be cool, yeah, but it'd be a really kind of a sad day in movie history, I guess.
Killers that went okay. Martin Scorsese, his movie Killers of the Flower Moon comes out later this year, right? It's 3.5 hours long. It's,
Mhm.
obviously it's going to have a lot of acclaim to it. I'll be interested to see how that movie performs, and if he's still blaming some pop culture genre led movie as for to blame why that movie was or was not a success for him. So I'm interested to see what that movie does, and if there's going to be any backlash from it. So we'll
Yeah,
see what happens.
I think with like Scorsese and I don't who there I know there's been a few other filmmakers. I think
Oh yeah,
it's this like fear of like it's the adapt or die. Like I can't adapt, so does this mean my career is over?
yeah.
But then you look at someone like Ridley Scott who adapts fine. Like he's put out a couple garbage films in the last 5 years, but
Although I
like
wasn't
he's
happy
still
with what he said the other week about Blade Runner 2049, saying it's too slow, blah blah blah. He regrets not doing it, blah 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 blah. That's a brilliant movie.
It
Hmm.
is a brilliant movie. I love it, but I also like hate how he folds to the pressures of the studio. Like he should have just stuck to his guns and finished that Prometheus trilogy that he wanted to start. But instead, we just got what we just talked about, the recycled nostalgia of ooh, an alien on a spaceship. Like that was really disappointing. But look at him. He's still doing his own thing. It's not stopping him from making films. He's not sitting there going like, oh no, there's another Ant-Man movie coming out, so I am just gonna not make any movies anymore. Like he's not doing that. He's still going strong. So there are filmmakers out there who aren't being slowed by this. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that.
And it'd be funny because if Denzel Washington and his movie Equalizer 3, another formulaic movie, like we saw earlier this year from John Wick 4 and all that, that did still pretty good. And I'm sure
Mhm.
there's another John Wick on the way, even though, spoilers, he's supposed to be no longer with us. But we all know the truth on that one. When it comes to Killers of the Flower Moon, again, we're going to have to see how it compares to Equalizer 3, other movies, The Founder, that's coming out later this month with his son in the lead role, John David Washington. Excellent actor, as I've told you before. I think he deserves every bit of chance. By the way, wouldn't that be cool if his son replaces Denzel later on, and it keeps the Equalizer IP going? Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool. You know what I would really love though? Like you know how Expendables brought all like the 80 and 90 action heroes together? Like I would love a gritty dark underground team up that had like John Wick, the equal Denzel and Liam Neeson. Like the Taken. What if they told us that Taken, John Wick and Equalizer all existed in the same universe because they're basically the same movie.
Yes, they are. The Retribution Force. There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, oh, I love it. I love it.
Speaking of which, you know the Expendables 4 is coming out later this month.
I know. So I watched Expendables 2 and I got like halfway through 3 and I was like, I could do without this one.
So, what are your thoughts out there on Equalizer's great weekend for Equalizer 3 and the future of what's going on for superhero films, art house films, and more? We'll be talking more about Venice Film Festival coming up here in a bit. But what are your thoughts out there on the movies for 2023? Let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the half hour break, and actually this discussion is going to continue longer than that. So I want to go ahead and let everybody know that we're going to have lots of time to talk about that. And that's this week's big event in the video game world, which, well, actually, some people, as of now, as of this recording, are able to play it if you bought the special editions. But for most everybody else, it is starting on the 6th with Starfield, Xbox's big release of 2023, powered by the Bethesda Game Studios, makers of the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series. They are back with their newest IP, their first IP in over 25 years. So I ask you, my friend, Starfield, the Metacritic rating is 87, but the opinions of those who got to go ahead and have it in advance, I wish we were two of them, got to have it in advance, got to go ahead and share their thoughts at length here in the past few days, and the opinions of the individuals that have been able to have a chance to check this out have wildly varied all over the place. So I would love to hear your thoughts on Starfield, a Bethesda game adventure like no other.
Okay, you know what's funny? Like Brian Brank, Dr. Donna from that we used to do Super BS, like
Mhm.
we have this group chat still and they're like talking about how they've been playing Starfield. It's like, oh cool, I didn't know that it was out already. So I went to go download it, found out, if you have Games Pass Ultimate, you can pay $30 and get like the one with the DLC and all that, and you could play it early, which I wish I would have known because I would have downloaded it. But anyways, like I didn't even know it was out yet. But they're saying amazing things about it. They really love it. They're RPG fiends, so naturally this is like right up their alley. But I've been seeing like reviews from the publications and things like that, giving it like 8s and 9s and things like that. But I'm also hearing a lot of gamers saying like this is like a 9 to a 10. Like it's they ever people
All
I've
over. I've
spoken
seen
to.
sixes, I've seen tens, all over the place as far as how they perceive it, because the adventure is how you make it. It's you make it to yourself. It's not a there are no two adventures, no two experiences in this game that are going to be alike.
Right, but there's, especially when it comes to games like this, Mass Effect was, Mass Effect kind of they didn't hold your hand, but they kind of told you like where you needed to go next, right? And if you wanted to visit this planet or that planet on the way there, you could. Starfield is just, from what I understand, it's like you just literally go anywhere and do anything you want to. There's a narrative thread to follow, but you don't have to do any of that stuff. Like you just spend forever going from planet to planet. And I think for people who like to have their handheld while playing games, and that it's not a bad thing to like that kind of thing. This might be a little more complicated for them than they thought.
Well, that's one of the main issues that I see as a consistent through line on these reviews is that there are no or virtually no tutorials that are assisting the player to do things like building ships. You have the ability to go ahead and customize your ship so you can travel the galaxy and customize it to however you want. You don't get a tutorial on that. As far as for certain things that you need to do in the storyline, whether it's the main storyline or it's a side quest or what have you, because some of these side quests are really meaty and some of the most well developed in Bethesda's history, but you don't have any type of directions or maps to really help you out that are of any detail. They're really quite vague, which is a shame because you and I have played Fallout, and me, who is a big fan of the Elder Scrolls, where you had maps that were detailed and could get you where you want to go.
Yeah, they were good at maps, but I mean, they never really gave you tutorials. Like in the beginning of Skyrim, they tell you like how to look up and down. That's pretty self-explanatory. But when it came to like the DLC where you're building houses, they didn't teach you how to do that. You just kind of had to like sit down and mess around with it. So that's never been Bethesda's MO. The maps have always been absolutely stunning though. So I don't know what the deal is with the map on this one, but I especially with a game like this where it was it's being everyone looked at it like this is going to be the perfect space game, and I think that now people get into it expecting it to the expectations are so high that I think it's going to be impossible to for it to get tens across the board by everybody.
Yeah, and I'm to be quite honest with you, I think the 87 on Metacritic for me after seeing so many of these videos is actually quite surprising. I thought it would be lower, to be quite honest with you, because there's so many individuals that are not enjoying this game, and then there's so many individuals on the other side that are enjoying the game. They're liking whether they want to go on the space combat. Some others are not even doing any space combat at all. Some of them are mad about the exploration because there's 1,000 planets to explore. The planets themselves, unless there's specific points of interest, don't really have much going on in them. There's also the fact that there's a lot of loading screens involved, and in 2023 with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S and X, one of the things that was supposed to eliminate from many games is loading screens. And now you're getting, as far as travel jumps, disguised as loading screens, which is irritating a lot of people. But when it comes to the customization on things you can customize, whether it's story wise or whether it's your equipment wise, that seems to be a Bethesda trademark and how it gets things done.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like that's kind of this game is so massive. Like there's going to be bugs coming out the gate. And Todd Howard even said, like, hey, there's some bugs, but we're pretty, proud of what we've put out so far.
And there has been,
Yeah,
but this is by many, most of individuals have said that this is the lowest number of bugs in a Bethesda game at launch just yet.
yeah, and that's I think that's amazing. Like you got to you got to count your wins where they happen. And then, you look at it this way too. Like have you ever played it like heard people, sorry, I keep saying Michael, I don't know why, but there are people who keep saying like this game is going to be amazing and it's not really like your cup of tea, but you try anyways to be excited for it. I did that with Red Dead Redemption 2. Everyone was really excited and they kept saying, "Oh, it's going to be amazing." And I tried to force myself into that genre despite the fact that I don't like western games,
Mhm.
and I ended up not enjoying my time with that at all. And I really wanted to. And I think that there are some people who are feeling that same way about Starfield. Like space RPGs are not their thing, but this game is supposed to be the biggest game for the past 5 years, and they're trying to force themselves to like it. And that might be a reason why some people aren't really enjoying it that much.
Well, RDR2, again, like you, I loved RDR. So I actually thought, and for me, that was something I'm not huge into Western games either, but I loved Red Dead Redemption until they decided to go ahead and pay, charge you $50 for an upgrade to Switch and PS5, but that's a different story. But
That's right. Yeah.
I love the original Red Dead Redemption, and I thought RDR2 was going to be that same thing. It's been critically hailed, and I just could not find myself going through it and continuing
Yeah.
through it. So I hear you on that one. So this won't be
Right.
for everybody, but the question remains as we get into the gist of it as far as where the Xbox stands. It is 2023, my friend. The Xbox has had a rough year. Redfall has been a miserable failure. They are finding themselves a distant number three in the console race, even over a console that's what 7 8 years now 6 7 years, I'm sorry, into its life cycle, and the Nintendo Switch. And
Yeah.
it's at the point where they need a home run to get people enthused. They have the best value in gaming with the Xbox Games Pass. We have said it on the show several times, but nothing seems to stick with people as far as what they're seeing. They're still buying PlayStation 5s and Switch. Can this be can this be the precursor or the start of a trend now finally going the way for Xbox in their, I know that Xbox has always said, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, has said, oh, well, the matter of console sales is not important to us. It's the subscriptions, it's the overall imprint that Xbox Games Pass has is more important to us. But to me, I think the console sales still in 2023 has to become more important to them. Will this help that out?
Oh, absolutely. And I've already spoken to some people who were under the weird impression that this was coming out on PlayStation 5, and I was like, "No, it's an Xbox exclusive." And they
It was
say, "Oh, I'm
supposed
going
to
to
be a
have to
PlayStation exclusive at one time due to the
at
court
one time."
findings. Yep.
Yep, yep. But then they're saying, "Oh, maybe I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out and buy an Xbox just to play this game." So yeah, it's clearly it's working. So can it sell consoles? Absolutely. And proof of that too is that people are, whether or not they have Games Pass, people are buying these on physical. Because I mean, I tried to go and order some copies for the Happy Hoarder, and all the distribution sites are completely sold out of them. So people are obvious. I mean, they're projecting that this game is going to sell a lot of copies. A lot of people are going to play it. So yeah, naturally, I think that it's going to sell consoles as well.
I think it will. I think that was still a mistake by them to not have a special edition Starfield console or Starfield branded console. I understand that they have those wraps that they're now going to be doing for Xbox Series X. That's great and all, but they still need like a holiday bundle. Need still need something to put it
Yeah.
out there that I think that would have helped them tremendously. They still may do it. They still may announce it, but I was hoping that they would actually go ahead and be able to follow through on that sooner rather
Do
than
you see
later.
that controller? You see the
I do see the
controller that goes
controller.
with that?
The controller's beautiful. The headset, the special edition headset, that's really nice. From what I'm seeing, I think that these are steps in the right direction. But I need to see more of a push from Xbox. That they've put a huge amount into marketing this game. I think for me would have been just the final touch to go ahead and make they've done everything but make that console. Make that special edition console, do something just liven up other than just the simple black Xbox Series X. Do something to go ahead and show that you really actually are thinking that this is a once in a video game generation release.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I but yes, they don't have the console bundle out, but I think that they've done an amazing job marketing this. And we talked about the collectibles coming out, and from what I understand, there's some action figures coming out too, and there's T-shirts. They're doing a great job of marketing this game, and I definitely see this being something, when the holidays approach, people buying consoles and copies of this game and getting them for Christmas or giving them to people for Christmas. Like Starfield is going to be a game changer for Xbox. I can feel it. It's not going. I mean, maybe it won't help them win the console race, but it's definitely going to help them cover some lost ground for sure.
Well, that's what I'm hoping because I like to see a more even playing field from all of the manufacturers that's out there. I'd love to see that's what's going on. Bloodhound 73 says Microsoft can't afford to have Starfield fail. You're right, they can. Their last big exclusive was a flop. That was Redfall. That was terrible. I know a lot of people are actually kind of likening it now, but you got to have it come out good from the get go. You can't do okay, I should say you can do it because No Man's Sky came out to scathing reviews,
That
but
was such a bad president, though. I mean, like, look at massive.
but 5
Yeah,
years
people.
later, 6 years
Hmm.
later, it's now a terrific game. Fallout
Yeah,
76 years later, it's now a terrific game, but not enough people stayed with it to make it really truly
mhm.
successful. Go ahead, my
But
friend.
then we got like this wave of games though where people are putting their games out, they're incomplete, and they're saying like, "Oh, this is a games as a service," or it's a, what do you call it, like a living game or whatever, and we're just going to keep putting stuff on it and tweaking it and perfecting it as we go. That's not.
The cyberpunk fiasco.
Yes, and that's not cool. I mean, from a consumer standpoint, that's not something that I want. Like, if you're gonna put a game, Final Fantasy 15 did this, and it like completely ruined the game. Like, they didn't even get a chance to finish it. So if you're gonna put something out and have somebody pay 60, 70 plus dollars for it, put out a complete product, put out something that doesn't have bugs. I'm sure the average gamer would wait an extra few months just to have something that was actually worth their money.
I'll tell you what, I agree with you on that. It just, and they had to delay this game already to get it where it stands now, and still there are
Right.
bugs, still there are issues, still there are complaints. I still think that whoever internally reviews this, because now they're supposed to have internal people reviewing. Some of them were former journalists, people in the industry. They're supposed to give their honest opinion of how this done, so they could go ahead and correct it and make some tweaks or whatnot. But they still send out.
Mhm.
Should have told them in advance about some of the diverse opinions that they would have upcoming because of some of the things that are there and not there, but start for Starfield. I tell you though, I am still not deterred by any of the negative reaction. I'm more inspired by the positive reaction on what I can do and where I can go with Starfield. I can't wait until the 6th until I get a chance to play it. I'm actually going ahead and getting Xbox Games Pass in order to go ahead and get it. So, my friend, that again, something I haven't done in a long time for Xbox, I'm about to do to go ahead and get my hands on Starfield.
And hopefully this is the beginning of you wanting to play many, many more games.
Absolutely. I'm hoping as well. I mean, this will hopefully start a progression forward for Microsoft as they come out with more hits. Hopefully down the road, Fable, Avowed. We don't know the status of Halo and Gears of War. We're going to have something addressed eventually through there because the previous Halo that was met with mixed success. And then the previous Gears of War was met also with a little bit more or a little bit less of mixed success. It's actually a little bit more favorable review, but did not stick as a game that people wanted to continuously play. So hopefully we can
Yeah.
still find more from those two IPs, but also find IPs from Xbox that are new, that are fresh, or they're exciting that they can go ahead and play. And hoping it will start with Starfield. I think Starfield, the advanced word on sales on Steam, as far as the PC end of it, are really really good. Baldur's Gate 3 level per se, and I will say that the reason why probably is because the modding community is like just chomping at the bit and salivating as soon as it came out on the first for some people and on the sixth for
Mhm.
others as far as what they can do with it. I'm hoping they'll be able to transfer some of those mods over to the console community, but really I think a lot of people are still looking for Starfield to be their game for the rest of this year.
You know what's great too is I was reading that the somebody who made some like cluster mods on Skyrim actually got hired to create the clusters on Starfield too. So people who mod things like it's not a waste of time. Like it's an amazing way to try to get a job. A lot of these video game companies hire people who do things like that.
Yeah, they keep their eye on it, and if it's received well and it's popular, then they can expect a call coming at some point in time. So it
Mhm.
just gets people started in that part of the industry. And like you said, sometimes it works out very well. So I'm hoping to see a lot of the mods for the PC community that will be hopefully even upgrading the game even more and correcting some of the things that people have issues with when it comes to Starfield taken care of in rapid fashion. But I'm really excited for Starfield, and I know you are as well, my friend. But when it comes down to it, will Starfield leave a long lasting impression for gamers for some time to come? It has to be. It has to be. I don't know if it can achieve Skyrim like fame, where well, I mean, 50 million plus in sales, plus it's been on almost every conceivable platform known to mankind. Wherever they can be able to go ahead and shove that game, they've been able to shove it. You and I've actually joked on this show about it, but that and also Fallout 4, but Oblivion, you know, those are the top three most well-known games, the most well-beloved games. I don't know if it'll reach that status, but it has to be a game that resonates for some time to come.
Yeah, it does. Honestly, I don't think we're going to know that for sure until we somebody out there gets to the end of the game, and who when that happens, who can really say? But
Well,
the
the
Mass Effect
campaign has been
franchise
finished
is
by a lot of people already, though, as far as the
oh
reviewers.
they're
Yeah,
done with it.
they've done
Oh,
with their game,
okay.
but
Well,
the new game plus feature is something that's expanded the game even more. So a lot of there have been quite a few reviewers who've actually finished the main campaign for about it takes about 30, 35, 40 hours to do.
Oh, it's
But
not bad.
the fact that they've been able to expand their game for over 100 hours, 125 hours, 150 hours already is due to the fact that there's so much to do, and they all say to a T that there's so much they haven't seen yet in Starfield.
But doesn't that answer your question right there, though? If people are taking the time to go back and replay the game already, that I think that speaks pretty well. Who knows if they're going to release DLC on this game or not? But if you're someone who takes the time to go back and replay a game because you like it that much, I think that that already speaks volumes about what kind of legacy it's going to leave behind.
I hope so, my friend, because I've had mixed results from my Bethesda experiences. I'm not a huge fan of the Fallout series. It just never resonated well with me. Even
Yeah.
Obsidian's new Fallout New Vegas, which is such a beloved game. I just don't know why. It just never clicked with me. When it comes
Mhm.
to Elder Scrolls, I've told you about my love for Elder Scrolls. I have 130 hours in, and I stopped playing the main quest a long time ago. I just
Yeah.
decided to
Yep.
go and do my own thing. I was into the pirate world and having pirates, get their, their give me their part of their booty each and every month as far as what they got as far as their treasures concerned. And I went into gladiator world, became a high rank gladiator, and I just started going off and doing my own thing. I don't even remember where the main quest start, where I'm at in the main quest. I have to actually
Mhm.
pop it into an Xbox again one of these days and try to go ahead and see if I can do just that. But when it comes to that, or my experience with Skyrim, I've told you my issues with Skyrim is based off the bugs. I got frustrated because I played 20 plus hours, close to 30 hours, got in a bug, got my character in a part where I couldn't get, he just like stuck in a room in an area wedged in between a wall and a statue and just could not get out of it. And I didn't have a save that was corrected at the right time to go ahead back and go over it. So I just basically chucked that all my hours out the window there. So I've had mixed experiences, and I'm hoping I'm going to have at least a positive experience when it comes to Starfield this week.
Yeah, I hope Starfield has an auto. I haven't seen a lot of video, but I mean, I'm hoping that it has an autosave feature that just automatically saves your game every 10 minutes.
I don't think it does. We haven't seen that in a long time. I think Oblivion really does the auto saves well, in case I forget, but I would still save anyways as far as manually. I think what I hear Baldur's Gate 3, which is one of the most lauded games of the year, everybody loves, says you have to manually save all the time in that
Mm,
game or you will lose a lot of hours, whether it's bug issues or whether it's just, decisions that are made or roles that were made that just were not to your liking.
yeah.
So be prepared to go ahead and manual save. I think that's just a way of life now, manual saving for most of these big RPGs, because that's a feature, the auto save, that is severely underused and probably no longer really a part of most games.
Yeah, but you do, and like you said with Baldur's Gate, like I'm one of those people where everyone, I will remember to save my game if I'm doing something important, but like if I get lost in the gameplay because it's good, I sometimes forget to do that, and so I'll have played for like 2 hours, and this happened in Skyrim a lot. I'll have played for 2 hours, and all of a sudden, oh, I forgot to save my game, and boom, it's all gone.
And it crashed. Yep. That's
Yeah.
That's my fear, my friend. That's my fear when it comes to Bethesda's games. But we're going to go ahead at it and see what we can do to go ahead and try to have some fun as we veer off into space, veer off into Starfield. Coming up later this week is actually on the 6th. Everybody will be able to go ahead and get their hands on it. If you're an Xbox gamer or a PC gamer, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Or if you're playing it already, if you got a special edition and you're playing it already because you got 5 days early to go ahead and check it out, what are your thoughts on Starfield? Xbox's latest attempt to go ahead and get back into the swing of things in the video game world. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, just a few minutes left, but one of the things I wanted to cover was this weekend's Venice Film Festival. And I know that it's art housey, It's independent movie making at its finest. But there's a lot of art house films that go ahead and show their wares there. And you and I always think, well, okay, when it comes to film festivals, Cannes is the number one as far as, but it comes out earlier in the year. It does have its share of art house movies, but it also has some usually some higher end AAA features that a lot of people get a chance to see there. And they usually come out, some of them during the course of the summer. So it doesn't have the same effect that I think the Venice Film Festival does, because the Venice Film Festival comes out late August, early September, my friend. And that's starting the fall, winter plan for some of these movies to come out. They start to roll out the hype machine on some of these movies for Oscars that they think might actually get the gold statues. So when you look at this, my friend, the Venice Film Festival in its importance, I think it's for as far as on the aesthetics, Oscar, best of the year list, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's now holding to me in more of an importance than Cannes.
Yeah, you know what? I had not really been paying attention to the Venice Film Festival until I started reading about the Ferrari movie with Adam
Mhm.
Driver. So that's what kind of made me start
Michael
look.
Mann directing it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what kind of made me look more into it. But from what I understand, historically, like the Venice Film Festival's always been things that have had international ties of some kind. So I've never really followed it that much. Was there anything there beyond Ferrari that you think is going to be internationally recognized?
Oh, I think there is, my friend. I'll go ahead and mention that in a minute, but I do want to start off with Michael Mann's Ferrari, with Adam Driver in the lead role of Ferrari himself. I think that that's something that's very, uh, I guess, very diverse in its response. The reason why I say that, because again, it's Adam Driver trying his hand at another Italian accent, as we
Yeah.
saw with the House of Gucci. He's trying his hand at another Italian accent again, and depending on who you talk to, it's actually much beloved, or actually not so much beloved. I saw an Italian reviewer roasting on his Italian. You could just never please the actual individuals in that country when it comes to like it's like in the UK. UK really has a hard time about anybody else playing a role, British role, because of the fact that it just they can tell that there's a point where the accent just doesn't work enough for them. Whereas to you and I, with the American ears, can't really distinguish it. So
Right.
it's it's
Yep.
it's kind of it's kind of funny how that works. But Michael Mann, the first thing I've been seeing and noticed on the reviews so far coming out of the Venice Film Festival is that Michael Mann, who's known for Heat, Miami Vice series, just a very stylistic individual and stylistic look. This is the most unlike Michael Mann movie that they've seen in quite some time from him. That because of the fact that they just don't know and don't understand that why he's gone into a different direction in recreating the life of Ferrari, especially during this period of time in the 50s when he was when the Ferrari name was at a critical juncture.
Yeah, I mean that's sorry, I was laughing at Kurt Affair's
I
comment
know, I
there.
saw that.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, Adam Driver is an actor who literally pours everything that he has into every role that he plays, including the brother in Logan Lucky, which is like one of my all-time favorite roles from him. But um, yeah, I don't know. That's it is interesting to have him play a character like that. I really want to see this movie, but I don't know. Is it scheduled to come out in theaters anytime soon?
Let me go ahead and check to see what the date for Ferrari is, but I will tell you, I think it's coming out in the heat of December when the movies that are really trying to vie for the Oscar love are coming out. So let me go ahead and I'll look that up. But one of the movies I wanted to go ahead and get your thoughts on when it comes to actually, it's going to come out on Christmas Day. So as of right now, so it's listed as a Christmas Day release. Which again, you and I both know you have to release a movie by Christmas Day, and you have to release it in New York and LA at the very minimum. in order for it to be eligible for the Oscars. So that's the minimum you could do, and that's what's going to be in limited release then, and expand over to much larger audience at that time. Curtis Fair says his favorite Michael Mann movie was still Collateral. There you go, Collateral. For me, I rewatched Heat, and I mentioned this recently as far as Heat. Heat has some pacing issues, but stylistically, there's some things that are absolute brilliant. The bank robbery scene in Heat was just unlike anything I had seen at that time. It just absolutely blew me away. Collateral is a really, really slick film, really good, and one of Tom Cruise's best performances, and Jamie Foxx's as well. So I cannot fault you there. That's an excellent movie. I think that's an excellent choice, Kurt. But when it comes to some of the movies that I saw, or a lot to read about, and I actually watched some of the trailers already. I think the movie that I really think that this might get some love. Uh, get this, my friend. It's from the director of The Lobster, The Favorite, and some of the movies that are very weird and eccentric and out there that has been made in past. Yorgos Lanthimos, Lanthimos, Yorgos Lanthimos is the director's name. But yes, we've talked about The Lobster being one of those weird, eccentric movies that really got some love as far as from indie live love as far as that's concerned. But the movie that I'm talking about that he came out with, directed, that's coming out later this year, again during the December holiday period, is called Poor Things. It's a female version of a Frankenstein-like movie with Willem Dafoe creating a female version of a Frankenstein per se with Emma Stone. Basically,
Oh, yep, I read about that.
he creates a woman, or that woman got killed, but brings her back to life, but with the child of a brain, with a brain of a child. Okay, so he brings her back to life via Frankenstein-like things with the brain of a child. So she discovers herself, and with the help of Mark Ruffalo's very scrupulous attorney character, who everybody is also raving about. That she goes off and discovers herself in the liberation moment in Paris, in I think was it 1920s, 1930s, just really an age gone by, but discovering herself and who she is, and she's maturing because she has that childlike brain that she's still developing. She starts off learning only 15 words each and every day. That's the gimmick, first off, and her mannerisms are very quirky, and the movie itself, that fits the theme of what this director has done before. I've heard nothing but spectacular things, and they've already anointed Emma Stone as an early Oscar favorite. And Mark Ruffalo, according to Kurt Affair, can do no wrong. Should be Columbo if they ever do a remake. You're right. He would do a good Columbo indeed, a good Peter Falk impersonation. But I think that Mark Ruffalo is also, and Willem Dafoe have also been very noted as far as their work in this movie. But yes, Poor Things, I think, my friend, is a movie you'll be talking about. His movies don't perform like blockbusters, but it could be a movie in December that could catch on with an art house audience.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds. I was intrigued by it when I was reading it. They also said it was like very raunchy, and so
Yes,
that
very.
was
Because she's
people don't
discovering
make.
herself, and she's
Yeah,
becoming she goes through adolescence, and she discovers a lot of things, and you could just take three guesses what she discovers a lot of
right,
during the course of
right.
this
Yeah,
film.
I'm sure, but it's just like yeah, and it definitely sounds very artsy and very like a very daring film to make in
Yes.
2023. So yeah, that alone, like just having the I guess what being brave enough to make something like that probably makes it worth watching. I'm assuming to a lot of people.
Also, as well as Kurt Affair said, David Fincher comes out with the Killer, featuring, of course, a great performance. What has been noted already by Michael Fassbender. This movie is actually coming out in release to theaters. Let me go ahead and get the date on it, but it's also coming out to Netflix shortly thereafter. So I want to hear your thoughts on this, my friend. Michael Fassbender has been off the radar for a little while. It's had a little bit of controversy as well. Your thoughts, though, on the Killer, and could that be a killer for Netflix? It's coming out in November, just to let you know, for box office, but shortly thereafter for Netflix.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know anything about it, but Michael Fassbender's always been pretty solid in every role that he's played. I don't remember what the controversy surrounding him is, but I've always enjoyed his movies, and I always think he's a pretty solid actor, especially when it comes to playing like stoic, these stoic characters who are slightly unhinged and slightly violent. Like he's really good at playing those roles. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely I love I love Fincher's stuff, and I am definitely going to watch this when I have an opportunity to.
No, I won't buy the 4K of Poor Things, but I might catch it if it hits digital. But we'll see what happens. But I probably will be able to see it beforehand because if it's considered one of the best of movies of 2023, I do have to evaluate it to see if it goes on that list or not. Um, the Killer, you were hoping The Killer would be a remake, Kurt, of the John Woo movie. I love John Woo films. Absolutely would love to see another John Woo film come to theaters sometime soon. But Fassbender and Fincher will be great together. Yes, David Fincher has produced some great things and directed some great things. So definitely looking forward to the Killer. But before we head on out, my friend, I just wanted to go ahead and mention some other movies. Maestro, which as far as the controversy there, as far as the nose is concerned for Bradley Cooper. A lot of people are still saying this is a very, very, very good film. So going ahead and touching on the life of Leonard Bernstein. A lot of people are talking about that. The Palace, The Promised Land. Thank you very much. The Theory of Everything. Uh, as far as Frank Capra, Mr. America, Final Dawn, Dogman, The Count, Commandante, The Kane Mutiny Court Martial, The Beast. There's a lot of really good movies that are coming out, my friend, and a lot of them were shown off at the Venice Film Festival. So I'm eager to see some of these films get some love later on this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to do some more research on these movies because I don't know a whole ton about them. But judging by the titles, they sound fascinating. So
I'm
I'll have to
interested to
do
see
some.
because of the nose controversy with Bradley Cooper, how much love he is actually going to get with the Maestro and how well it will be received when it comes out later this year.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt Affair said Maestro will have Bradley Cooper nominated for Best Actor. His nose will be Best Supporting Actor. Yeah, I don't know. It's is that really worth making a big deal out of?
I guess to some in the community it is, so I have to respect their judgment and their thoughts on that. Again, that's an issue that I think he was asked by the family to say that they support his costume design, the costume choice to have that kind of large nose that Leonard Bernstein actually had in his life. So he was trying to be true to the character. I think it's nothing more than that. I don't think people should try to people want to try to read into that more than that's up to them. But again, I think it's just they're trying to portray a life of someone that contributed greatly to the world of entertainment, and I hope that they see that first and foremost because the family sees that first and foremost of Leonard
Right.
Bernstein. So
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
we
That's true.
will, and I'm hoping again for some great movies to come out of this. I'm going to take a look at Poor Things, Maestro. I'm going to try and see if I can catch all these great movies before the year's done because of this year has been very devoid of really good films up to this date. I've only have like a few so far on my best of 2023 list. So looking forward to adding more onto the list of 2023 for pop culture. But what are your thoughts out there on the Venice Film Festival? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before we head on out, All Elite Wrestling. I know you're not a big pro wrestling fan anymore, but I did have a pro wrestling show with John Orlando on the Friday show where we covered the state of pro wrestling, where there was an incident backstage involving CM Punk, and we did not know the full outcome of. But I want to report that that is not storyline. That unfortunately, CM Punk has been terminated by All Elite Wrestling, which leaves them without a top of the card main event wrestler for them, and it's probably going to hurt them a little bit financially. But they've, one of the things that we forget about in the world of pro wrestling is that the world of pro wrestling is still a workplace, and there's still certain things in the workplace environment that you have to understand has to be done correctly and properly outside of the ring And if things aren't going well beside outside the ring, and if there's conflicts and there's fights backstage, legitimate fights, real fights backstage, people coming to blows legitimately, and the workplace environment just becomes an unsafe workplace environment, then things have to be done. And if it means, unfortunately, sometimes the termination of an individual that could mean more to your company's finances down the road, then unfortunately that has to be the case sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's better to get rid of them before they do more harm. And some people don't. Some people are just you can't manage what they're going to do. So I totally understand limiting your liabilities before they get worse.
Absolutely. Kurt Affair said, "Yep, Shah Rukh Khan comes out September 7th. I know that my expert on Bollywood is very excited for that film. Plus the sci-fi that's coming out, I believe, in early January. That one has gotten a lot of hype to it as well. But he's looking forward to that for the Bollywood scene. So happy for him, and hopefully he'll be able to come on the show and talk about that with Shah Rukh Khan and more coming out here in the not too distant future for Bollywood. But yes, CM Punk, he is out now that he's burned his bridge with both AEW and WWE. All I know, Josh, is that my knowledge of the pro wrestling world says even though you think you've burned bridges everywhere you've gone, those bridges can get rebuilt if you think you can draw money. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, it just,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
always a hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my friend, last thoughts on Happy Hoarder collectibles. What do people need to go ahead and look at? It? What do people need to get for Labor Day weekend before we head on out?
We just got a bunch of the new Halloween trick or treat Pokemon cards in. You can check those out. We got some new Demon Slayer Funko Pops as well as some new One Piece Funko Pops. Check it all out, www.happyhoardercollectibles.com. This week, we're supposed to be getting a big shipment of things, some Christmas items, some Halloween items. So just keep checking back. Hopefully, I'll have things, updated and ready to go here within the next 5 days, but it always takes time. So definitely check them out. And yes, happyhoardercollectibles.com.
There you go. And I hope he gets that pop. I think he'll do well with the secret I gave him. So there you go. Kurt Affair says he's enjoyed the One Piece live action so far. It's gotten really solid reviews. Have you had a chance to check it out on Netflix, my friend?
Not yet. I want to. I haven't. My kids want to watch it, and we just haven't had time where we're all been, sitting in the living room together. So as soon as I'm hoping to catch it this week, though.
There you go. Absolutely. After you're playing Starfield, of course.
Of course.
So for Josh Peterson, aka Josh the Great, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Bloodhound. Have a great Labor Day weekend.